get in front of them with the shopping cart and maybe pluck the assets that they wish they could have acquired?
Yeah, so it's a good question because the problem is that not everybody's looking for the same thing, right? So I don't know that the Jays are necessarily looking for third base help in the same way that the Yankees are. And while I think Yankee fans have their hearts set on Eugenio Suarez, I don't know that the Diamondbacks are really willing to trade him yet. You know, they're still, 5.5 games out in the wild card mix, and they feel like they have a talented team even with the injuries that they've had. So, I think the teams that tend to be aggressive, I think Seattle will be aggressive at the deadline. They have a very deep farm system. There is some pressure on that group to be able to make the playoffs kind of in the same way that there's been pressure on the front office in Toronto. I think San Diego is always aggressive. I think based on the fact that Buster Posey made the move early the way he did for Rafael Devers, I think you would have to assume that they are going to be aggressive as well. The one thing with San Francisco, though, is that bullpen may not be their most significant need, right? They're probably looking for offense before anything else. But Milwaukee has a very good team. The Cubs are in need of... The Cubs bullpen has been great, right? I think they have the third best ERA in the sport. But they have like the second or third lowest strikeout rate as a group. So again, another team that's going to be looking for bat missers. And the Phillies will always be aggressive. So, I mean, we can go down this list. And the problem is that there's just so many teams that are going to be looking for the same thing, which is strikeouts, ways to shorten the game from the back to the front in the postseason. And there's only a handful of those relievers that we think are going to be available. We don't even know if they're going to be available.
Yeah, and I guess the relevant point is the number of teams that would be selling. So you're talking about, Baltimore, Oakland, and Chicago in the American League and in the National League, from Miami down, which is 5 teams. I mean, that's an 8-team market. How busy do you think this trade deadline is going to be?
Yeah, I think it remains to be seen, and I wouldn't even count on Baltimore in that either because they're 6.5 games out of a wild card spot right now, right? So yeah. I know they traded Brian Baker yesterday, but I don't know that you can look at this as traditional buyers or sellers. And so I've told this story, I think, frequently in the last couple of weeks in interviews just because I think it's super relevant. I was talking to a GM about this a number of years ago about the trade deadline and what he wanted to do. And he said, if you think about it, there's really only 2 windows for us to improve our organization with external additions. It's the off season and it's that run up to the trade deadline, right? So I think if you look at it from that standpoint, there are some teams that would fit the mold of buyers and sellers at the same time. I know we talked about Cleveland like that, but let's say Arizona were to move a player or two. Well, they also want to win. They have 2 superstar players that are under long-term control, in Ketel Marte and Corbin Carroll, and they have 2 key starting pitchers that are free agents after this year. So they may be buying as well. Cincinnati is a team that has bought and sold at the same time too. And those teams that you mentioned, like the Miamis, the Atlantas, the Washingtons, the Pittsburghs, certainly the Colorados, there may be a separate category. They don't have that many players that are super attractive to be able to acquire. And I put Colorado in a separate category because they just have never really done anything at the trade deadline. I mean, they have been, despite rumors upon rumors upon rumors for the last 5 years, they've mostly stood pat. Now, they swear that this time is going to be different, but I don't know if you guys were fans of the old Peanuts cartoons, but Lucy always swore that she was going to hold the football for Charlie Brown, too. So until the Rockies actually kick the football, I'm not sure that I'm going to buy the fact that they're in this, right? Like that they're in it to sell. So I do think that complicates matters, and it could make for, I would say a modest deadline, but I'm assuming that there are going to be a volume of trades, and a lot of them are going to involve relievers, and some of them are probably going to be names where you go, now, who was that again?
Yeah, that's a fair point. Hey, Mike, obviously we're coming up to the All-Star break here. The home run derby is, a polarizing event, I would say. Some love it. Some hate it. I happen to be in the former category, but what do you have a pick? And if you don't have a pick, is it because you just don't care?
I wouldn't say that I don't care. I would say that I have a long history of being a poor predictor of things. All you have to do is look at my predictions before a season starts for baseball. I once lost an NCAA tournament pool to a quarter. The coin flip did better than I did, so I'm not very good at it. But what I would say is I think there are a couple guys that are really exciting in it. I mean, one, Ronald Acuna Jr. is going to be jazzed to do it at home, and he certainly has some rise to the occasion, and I think Jazz Chisholm has that as well. But the two guys that I'm really excited to see are Junior Caminero from the Rays and O'Neal Cruz from the Pirates. And if you haven't seen O'Neal Cruz hit a baseball yet, you have to see O'Neal Cruz hit a baseball. I mean, he hits it harder than anybody else in the game. Not even Giancarlo Stanton has hit a ball as hard as Cruz has. He is really impressive. And with Caminero, it's funny, we were talking on our radio show this morning to Brandon Lau of the Rays. He said when he debuted in Toronto, he took batting practice, and the Jays fans gave him a standing ovation the first time he ever took practice in a major league ballpark. And I think that's because Caminero just hits the snot out of the ball constantly. So I think it's a kind of a fun field, even though there aren't a whole lot of huge names in it. But it's going to be, there are some guys that I think are going to capture the zeitgeist.
Mike, let's talk salary cap. I mean, some of us have been around for a while, so the fact that there was a salary cap that eventually got into the NBA, the NFL, here the CFL, and the NHL is startling. But when you talk salary cap for Major League Baseball, you come up with apoplectic, work stoppage. It's just, how does this even happen, and does it actually benefit the game?
So I think those are two great questions. And remember that none of those caps happened without significant stoppages in all of those. The NFL hired replacement players, right? That's what led to the cap, which Major League Baseball tried to do in 1995 until a U.S. Circuit Court judge stepped in and said that it was unfair labor practice. Hockey has lost, a season and a half because of that, and one full season that was shut out to get the cap the way that it is. The NBA had multiple long work stoppages. Listen, I think that it's a really nice marketing tool to say, hey, this is a great opportunity for small market fans to have faith that their teams are going to get players that they wouldn't otherwise. But I haven't seen any proof of that. And I think really what it is the Pittsburgh Pirates aren't suddenly going to start spending on good players. It's because the ownership is going to stay the same, right? Like whatever the floor is, the floor would be so modest in such a deal like that all it would do would be artificially inflate the salaries at the back end. Furthermore, I think, and this is one of the union's talking points, and I do think it is worth mentioning, it's been 26 years since we've had a repeat champion in Major League Baseball. You now have 40% of the league that makes the postseason. And there was this great study that was done a couple of years ago, I want to say 5 or 6 years ago. I think it was Ben Zomer was who did it. Compared baseball's playoffs to the other postseasons, right? And in the NBA, 80% of the favorites win the playoff rounds. In order for baseball to have that